Hello, everybody. We're just getting together here. We have Mr. Smith and I, and in about 3 minutes, we're going to start talking about the Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's color code and how that relates to situational awareness. Mr. Smith is well trained on the topic. Hi, Carol. How are you? Hi, Tommy. Mr. Smith knows it. I'm very familiar with it. This topic was brought up as kind of a result of Tommy Stig's show last night.
We got echo.
You have an echo?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I have YouTube on.
Yeah, I'm on mute on the YouTube side.
Okay, let me get away from this fan. Maybe that's causing it. How about now? Is there an echo?
No, there's no echo now.
Okay.
No, there's no echo now.
So,
oh, now there is.
I got to get away. Okay, I'm going to come out here. How about now?
Yes, there's
still an echo? Can you hear the echo? Yeah. Tommy says we both sound perfect. I hear you well. Am I echoing?
Okay. I hear you perfectly fine right now.
Okay, no echo?
It's usually if you're on StreamYard and YouTube at the same time, it'll echo.
Yeah, I'm not. I am just on StreamYard.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Now we're good.
All right, here we go, guys. Hang on a second.
It works.
Hi, Joe Della. You might hear some dogs barking in the background. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that.
It's golden. It's golden now. Whatever you did, it shut off the echo, so that's golden.
Okay.
Yep.
We have 5 colors.
Mm-hmm.
Consists of white, yellow, orange, red, and black.
Yep.
And there are mental, physical conditions in each of these colors.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to try to do is never, ever enter the black color.
Correct.
In a violent situation, if you're in the black color, you will have a lack of program response. The mind cannot create new solutions.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be irrational and repetitive decisions, confusion, and denial.
Correct.
When you see that in a mass shooter situation, people are frozen in place. When a person is murdered on the street, they could be looking right down the barrel of the gun and they're in a state of denial.
Correct.
Physically, there's an adrenaline overload. And that's not good when you have an adrenaline overload. It could even be super hyperventilation and the muscles cramp due to what's called a lactic acidosis.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Ra.
Hey, Carol. How are you
Joe
doing?
Della, how are you guys doing? Most importantly, as an intellectual process, they shut down. The brain The midbrain response overwhelms a person's ability to think through a problem. This may cause a person to shut down mentally.
Mhm.
And that is the worst possible situation you could be in. Do you want to add anything to that, Mr. Smith?
So we were talking earlier. We want to start out with. So you can explain Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper's, former United States Marine Corps. You can explain his hierarchy. Explain. I think it would be better if the audience knows the hierarchy of the color codes and what they mean first.
Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Cooper was a arms expert and a self-defense expert, but mostly he concentrated on situational awareness in order to avoid, let's say, a gunfight.
Mhm.
And he has 5 categories. We're going to discuss if you're living in the white zone, what happens if you train yourself to move into the yellow, what is the orange, and what is the red. So we're going to be going white, yellow, orange, and red, knowing that we want to avoid the black.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So he kept it real simple. He just broke it down into colors.
Mhm.
And he was a combat vet in Korea,
Mhm.
but after he got out of the Marines, he spent a lot of time training civilians on situational awareness.
Yes.
I don't know if he was a gun expert in that sense, but just your average human being walking in the public and what you should be aware of.
I think he created this based upon his combat experience. You know what I mean? Like you're on patrol, whether it's short range, long range patrol, things like that. I think that's where he developed this whole concept. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, so let's start with, you guys can ask yourself this question. What condition am I in? Let's say I'm in the white condition. Mentally, I'm oblivious to what's around me.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm unaware,
Correct.
completely unprepared. Does that make sense?
It does. It means you're walking down a city street with your head buried in your cell phone, not paying attention to your surroundings and environment and knowing what's going on around you.
Right. And my physical is just relaxed. But what's important is let's say a guy or a person wants to mark you as a target.
Mhm.
Uh, you're exhibiting a signal to that person
Yes.
that you're too preoccupied to notice me, the mugger.
Mhm.
And what's really bad is when you're in this condition, you take absolutely no responsibility for your safety, and more importantly, the safety of people around you.
That's true.
So if you have a family and you or a wife and you're walking down the street
Mhm.
and you're both looking at your cell phones
Mhm.
uh, and not paying attention because for the last 2 years you've walked that route and nothing's happened, so you think it's safe.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, you suddenly end up in the black zone. And again, we don't want to be in the black zone, right, Mr. Smith?
That's correct. And people need to understand, don't create patterns for yourself. So if you drive a certain way every day, walk a certain way every day, ride your bike a certain way every day, change it up a little bit. Also pay attention what's going on around you. Don't get your head stuck in a cell phone, things like that. You're not going to be prepared for something that's going to happen. And George, right, that goes back to wildlife too, because you're talking predator and prey, right? And people that have their walking down the street or taking the same travel every day with their head stuck in a cell phone or not paying attention, they're complacent, the predator is going to come after you. You are targeting yourself as a victim in the white zone for sure.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what we want to do, let's see. We want to be in the yellow, okay? At the very least.
I agree with that.
And the yellow is being aware of your surroundings, your situation, where you're at. You want to notice things. You want to see things. You got your radar up, but you're still relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in this condition, a person's aware of what's happening around them, but not really focused on any specific threat, right, Mr. Smith?
That's correct. And in the orange zone, you have a pre-plan. You may be armed. You maybe just have a pocket knife. You may look for escape routes or things like that, but you're aware what's going on. You have a pre-plan in your mindset, right?
Right. So we're in the yellow. The person realizes that dangers exist, and he takes steps to recognize potential threats as they become apparent. So if we're walking that same path every day and we see somebody who looks out of place, or you get this gut feeling that, hey, something's not right here, you've got to alter your course and go a different direction. But you also want to be aware, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you want to display some physical characteristics that you are aware. And what that is you don't have your cell phone in your face. Your head is on a swivel.
Correct.
You're looking around, and you're keeping an eye on things.
Yep.
The mugger will say, "Hey, wait, this person is not so much an easy threat." Now, the orange is when you're maintaining awareness and you're focused in on a threat. It's a perceived threat. It's not necessarily a threat, but it is a perceived threat. Adrenaline is released. Your breathing is increased. Your heart rate goes up a bit, but you still retain your motor skills.
Yes.
So in this condition, you recognize the threat, but not at the expense of ignoring your environment.
I agree with
Right?
that.
You be prepared to recognize additional threats, and they should become apparent.
I agree. And one thing I'll say both on orange and red is training is critical to be in those mindsets. So orange and red training is key. You need training, right?
Right.
And it needs to be done over and over and over again.
Yeah. So if I'm a woman alone in a parking lot, I'm going to walk. And I'm going to walk and have my head on a swivel. And I'm also going to put my hand behind my back to indicate that I may have a weapon or something available to me to defend myself against a mugger. Does that make sense?
It does. Joe, sorry, real quick. Joe Delmore, yeah. This is, it's not kind of special services mental thought process training. It's just about being aware. Whether you're out in public, you're going to work, you're walking to work, driving to work, whatever, you're on a public transit system, whatever, just be aware of your surroundings and what's going on for your own personal protection. That's what it comes down to. So
if I'm in the white and I'm sitting on a subway platform, I've taken no responsibility for my safety. If I go on a subway platform, I guarantee you I'm going to be in the orange.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay back from the platform. I'm gonna have my back more towards the wall, and I'm gonna be watching everything. So at least I can be responsible for the safety of myself and the safety of others.
I agree. I
Now,
absolutely.
let's say we see the monster.
Mhm.
That puts us into the red.
Yes, it does.
And believe me, that's a complete focus on that threat. Our emotion and instinctual responses are highlighted, our intellect responses are lessened.
It's almost like tunnel vision, concentrating on the threat is what it is.
Exactly. It actually, you're right. And time distorts. You've got an adrenaline dump. Your heart rate is maximized.
Mhm.
You do have tunnel vision, and you have auditory exclusion. If
Yes.
anyone who's been in a boxing ring or in a combat sport, you do not ever hear the crowd. Ever. Because you're focused on that threat. That applies to a gunfight. That
Uh,
applies to anything.
I was just going to say the gunfight thing. I was going to bring that up. If you go to the range and you're just doing qualifications or shooting, having fun, you need hearing protection. Well, you should always have hearing protection, but if you don't have hearing protection, those shots are going to hurt your ears. But in an actual gunfight, in an actual deadly force encounter, if guns are firing, they're not going to immediately affect you the same way as if you're just sitting at the range or standing at the range shooting a static target. I'm telling you, it's completely different. And Gerard's bringing up a good point. Um, it's just totally different, and that's where this whole thing comes in, because you have to pay attention. You have to have the training. You have to pay attention and be in one of the good levels. They use Cooper used the color codes, but you have to be in one of these good levels. Orange and red, especially red, is what I think what we're talking about now, like taking action, right?
Yeah, red is when you had, you were in the orange, and all of a sudden, wow, wait a minute, this is a real threat. It's coming. It's a good possible threat,
Yeah.
and you're actively engaged in the confrontation,
Mhm.
right? Your
Yep.
body release your chemical releases prepare you for a fight or a flight response
Mhm.
while making a rational thought more difficult. So,
Yep.
it's not like it's not like the movies where the guy is, he's got his head together. He knows exactly what he's doing. This is what happens to the body.
Well, now it's not real life, like you just brought. Real life is not Hollywood. Deadly force encounters in real life are nothing what they make them out to be in Hollywood, in movies or TV and stuff like that. It just doesn't work that way. So that's a valid point. A lot of people need to take that away. Need to pack that up, go to training, and understand that real life isn't a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, fist fights.
Mhm.
Okay, guy comes after you on the street, right? And he's got fists, and you got fists.
Mhm.
It's totally different.
Mhm.
This is not. It's not like I'm thinking through it. You're just fighting, and
Correct.
you're fighting for survival.
Yeah.
And so the main thing of this whole thing is to practice awareness,
Mhm.
and always pretend if you don't have a gun. Uh, Pretend that you have something on you that that exhibits or indicates to a potential threat that, hey, wait a minute, this guy or gal is not a victim. This guy's ready. So, like, if you walk through a parking lot, why do you have to walk so close to automobiles where they can grab you and just throw you in a car and hijack you somewhere?
Yeah.
Why do you have to be Why do you have to be the dummy who thinks that there's no danger? I'll just walk down this street. They won't harm me because I'm not a threat to them,
Right.
right? Things like that.
Let me read a couple comments in the chat, because StreamYard is delayed, and I don't have the YouTube part on because it would like feedback. Yeah, Joe Delamora, fitness and focus. Yes, fitness is important. Focus is important. That's what we're talking about. Like the mindset training is very key. So the more training you have, and it should be repetitive, and actually practice what you learned in training, that's pretty important. Mike F, yes, I do the same thing with my 89-year-old mother. She lives in a very metropolitan area, like think Washington, D.C. And yeah, I try to keep her, aware, but age and disabilities and things like that's kind of tough to overcome. So you gotta do what you gotta do. But again, going back to what Gerard was saying, you need to be focused. Don't have a daily pattern. Change your pattern up. I don't care if it's every other day, once a week, something like that. Change it up. And remember, just having a gun doesn't necessarily mean it's going to save your life or someone else's life. You have to be trained. And you can kill somebody with a pen. So if you just have a pen in your pocket, remember that. If you need to defend yourself, if you got a pen, use that. Use whatever's around you. And that goes back to the focusing on your surroundings. Know what's around you. Know your escape routes. Know what things you can use to defend yourself and others. It could be a chair. It could be a pen. It could be whatever you find. But just know, like, be aware of what's going on around you. And training. I can't stress that enough. Sorry, Gerard, I went off on a tangent.
No, you didn't. You actually helped out, define what we're trying to talk about. So hopefully people will, understand this. The gun is the last resort.
Correct.
The gun is a very dangerous last resort.
Yep.
The gun will put you in jail.
Yep. And get you sued quickly. Even if you're legally justified, you will get sued if you use deadly force using period, whether it's a gun or not, but you will. Plan on that.
So the idea is it's more important to be aware. Mm-hmm. It's more important to recognize the threat. Oh, what happened to Joe Della's mom? I'm sorry, Joe. What happened? Hi, Bill. How are you? We were talking about situational awareness.
Yes.
And you could probably go back to the beginning once this is finished. Mm-hmm. A tip, like I said, I'm going to say it again. Keep your head on a swivel. Swivel means you're looking left, you're right. When you get out of your car, recognize other people that are in automobiles. Mm-hmm. Make sure your automobile is locked. When you put your groceries in the trunk of the car, be very, very careful. And it's always best, to try and have somebody come with you, if possible. With the older person, yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to have. You definitely want to see if you can have somebody assist you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I think, Gerard, we may need to go over Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper's hierarchy real quick for people that are just joining. So,
okay.
And
so
I would start at white and then go up to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have white. White is, if you're in a condition called white, the color white, You're completely oblivious, unaware, and unprepared mentally. Everything's relaxed. You don't feel a threat. And most of the public exists in this condition. And they're just too preoccupied to notice dangers around them, for example. And most importantly, you take absolutely no responsibility for your own safety or, the safety of others, right, around you, people, your loved ones. And when you're in the yellow, you become aware. And that's the condition, the mental condition that you want to start with. You're relaxed. You're aware of what's happening around you. You're not, maybe focused on any specific threat, but the person has realized that dangers do exist. And you take steps, which is training, to recognize potential threats as they become apparent. So we all want to exist in the yellow. We don't want to get in a condition where we are drunk and
paranoid.
Paranoid too, yeah. But I mean, what's that? The people who are drunk and they're just walking down the streets by themselves, alone. We've had 2 homicides in New York City. Both of them were guys that got drunk at a music festival and he ended up in creeks, face down.
Yes.
So you just don't go in neighborhoods you can't, that it will overwhelm you. Just stay away. Stay away from streets that are dangerous. Yes. Don't assume that because you're some yuppie and you have a college degree that it's okay for you to walk down the streets because you're something special.
Yeah, that's so valid. You already know that.
You're not special. And, I have a daughter that thinks she's special. She lives in Cambridge. And I see threats all over the place. And, my dad, I didn't get along real well with my dad, but he was a Korean War combat vet. And the one thing that I really learned from him was to be aware, to be on guard. And, when I lived in Chicago, I would put an extra chair, prop up the back door. And my wife, who's from the hills, said, "What are you, paranoid?" And I said, "No, if somebody comes through the back door, I want to be able to hear it." And I put up metal grating where I knew, an intruder could get through. And lo and behold, the intruder went to the next apartment up top and robbed him. But it didn't come to mind because I had a simple metal grate on the door window. So we want to stay in the yellow. We want to be aware. We want to be alive. And when we recognize the threat, we have complete focus on it. But remember, when you see the threat, you're going to lose some things. Your intellectual responses will be lessened. Time's going to be distorted. Your emotions are going to get kind of carried away with you. And if you get into a problem, remember, you're going to get tunnel vision. You're going to lose motor skills. Your breathing rate's going to maximize. And you won't be able to hear things around you.
I will say about the motor skills, if you have if you have the basic training or consistent on it, the motor skills come naturally.
Okay.
Right? So if you don't have the training, you're not going to have the motor skills, period. That's a fact. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to come up and for a few minutes or so and talk about it?
I want to talk. I want you to talk about the black phase the panic frozen and we were just frozen, fight,
Oh,
flight, or
man.
freeze, right? The freeze.
Guys, we don't want to get in the blackface.
Yeah, you don't. You
You you got no program responses. The mind can't even create a new solutions. You're irrational.
Yep,
You're repetitive. You're confused. You deny that you're even in this situation.
exactly.
You've got complete overload. Your muscles will even freeze up.
Yep.
You'll hyperventilate to a point where you're just going to be incapable of operating. And
Right.
intellectually, the mind, the brain, everything is overwhelmed. You are completely hijacked by your natural chemicals,
Yes.
and it's Katie by the door.
Yeah. And
So
you won't feel those chemicals. The adrenaline, I don't, whichever, if you, especially in red and black, the adrenaline won't hit till after the fact. Um, and it's not fun. If anybody's had like a real quick hit of adrenaline because of a deadly incident, deadly force encounter, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
afterwards, when that adrenaline comes down, that ain't fun.
well, I'll say one situation. There was a gunfight in the theater that I was in,
Hmm.
and I went into the black zone only for a period.
Hmm.
And a lady said, "Get down," and I snapped out of it, and I came back down. And
Hmm.
I was in the red zone during the gunfight,
Hmm.
and I was able to function to get out of the theater with a flight, and I was by my car, no doubt. Four of them were shooting at another group of gangs right next to my car,
Hmm.
and I was able to leap over the bushes and seek shelter
Hmm.
because I determined that I was not actually the threat, but I was in the path of the bullets. And so that's one. There are other ones that I've been involved in, uh, and was actually uh, um, the guy was shooting at me, and I was hurling bricks at him, and I was in the red zone, and um, he only had a 25 caliber pistol, and he was firing from a bit of a long range. But he had already shot somebody in the back, and I was so enraged that I was hurling bricks at him until the police arrived and took control of the situation.
Hmm.
But I've been at that level a little bit, um, and it is the adrenaline, and you're completely focused on the threat.
I will say, and I'll share a story with you and whoever's watching now, because I don't think I've shared it before, at least on here. Um, so back Father's Day evening, 2012, like some a-hole was shooting at us with a 357 Magnum, and we all had our gun. We had long guns in place. We had pistols and stuff, and I had a Glock 22, which is a 40 Smith and Wesson caliber firearm. And under fire, I already had my pistol out. And this goes back to exactly all these different levels of awareness and what you do. Um, I've been trained. Cop 30 years. I was SWAT, like all this stuff. You don't you don't give up your firearm, right? Whether you're military, law enforcement, you don't give it up. You know what I did that night? Under
Right.
fire. Under fire. I already had my pistol out. I put it down on the trunk of a police car so I could adjust my shield. I let go of my pistol to put it down in the trunk of a frickin' police car to adjust my shield and try to see where everybody was. I lost complete control of my firearm for It was brief, but it's still, there's no excuse for that because that's completely contradicting my training and experience and things like that. But I did that.
Yeah.
I did that. So that falls within this Cooper's hierarchy of, like, there's a mental thing going on, psychological thing going on. There's a direct action, violence of action thing going on. It all plays together. And sometimes, and like I always said, I've said it tonight, I've said it before, training is key. But sometimes, even though you're very well trained and experienced, sometimes the psychological part hits a spark and it goes a little bit off track. You got to get it back on. And I remember, but I'm like, holy ass, where's my pistol? And I like, oh, there it is. Boom, grabbed it. Back in the game.
Wow.
It's just, it is what it is. It is what, I mean, but the hierarchy that Cooper's hierarchy is very realistic. And as I said before, you can break it that, just limit it to fight, flight, or freeze. You don't want to freeze. You'll become a victim. Flight is fine. If you can fight, you better have training. If you flee, good for you because you have no training and no alternatives. Get the hell out of there and save yourself and others if you can. But the freeze, that's no bueno. That's no good, right?
That's correct. Hi, Primo. Hi, teacher. How are you?
But Gerard, thank you for having me on. I'm going to get off of here because my wife is about to make dinner.
Okay.
It's going to be cheesesteaks. So, but
you got cheesesteaks, huh?
Yeah. But
all right.
Yeah. So thank you, Gerard. Thank you to everybody in chat. Like and subscribe to Gerard's channel if you haven't already. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Gerard. Have a good one.
All right. I'll see you. Have a good one.
See you.
All right. Boy, what a gentleman. What a gentleman he is. And knowledgeable and experienced. Well, I did drop the link if anybody would like to come up for a minute. I don't know what else I could add to it. I appreciate everybody showing up. If you guys want to say hi, you can come up and say hi. Anyone, not a problem. It's good to see you, Bill the Butcher. I appreciate your and hopefully we could get together and talk about things in the future. And Thindu, it's great to see you here. And I hope this. Oh, there's a guest. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, it's Tommy. Hey, Tommy. Tommy, are you there? Tommy?
Sure, give me 1 minute. I'll be right back on. I gotta take a call. I'll be right back on, buddy. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. I drop the Dracula vid. Oh, I like the movie Dracula. Is that the one with Bela Lugosi? That was pretty good. Anyhow, guys, look up Cooper's COOPER''S color code and ask yourself how do you live? Where do you exist on the plane of awareness? And if you find yourself in the white zone, and particularly if you live in an urbanized area, I mean, naturally, you should already have this you should be in the yellow, right? And it shouldn't be a problem. But fortunately, a lot of people come from out of state, and come to these big cities, are still in the white zone, riding the subway. You know, you can't be in a white zone, that's for sure. There we go. We got a guest. Hang on. Primo. Hang on. Hi, Primo.
How you doing, Gerard?
I'm doing well. I'm waiting for. I think Tommy's here somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, it's good to see you. And I hope you had a chance to watch some of the show. And if not, it's not that long. You could go back to the beginning. And how's things going?
I do most of my watching on the replays. I'm kind of busy these days right now. I got my youngest daughter buying a house, so I'm trying to help her out, and just general shit. General shit.
Wonderful. Is that out in California?
She's in Chicago.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so she's out there house hunting, and like I've done with all my daughters, I usually give them the down payment so they don't have the PMI and they don't have to get the FHA bullshit loans. All
right, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Check out Beverly Morgan Park.
Oh, you mean the town of Beverly?
No, it's a neighborhood within Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's Beverly Hills, Morgan Park. The whole area is dry, DRY. That means there's no liquor stores.
Okay.
And it is a village within the village, and it's beautiful. And you could probably get, I don't know. You might want to just take a look at it and see what you think.
Yeah, she's right now. All of her friends and everything where she works is the Aurora, Naperville area.
Okay, yeah.
So,
all right. Well, she's way out there. She works out in Aurora.
She actually works in Naperville, but she wants to buy a house in Aurora because they're like half the price of Naperville.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I have a friend that's she's in charge of Aurora something or other, and we grew up together on the south side. She lives out there. She loves it.
Yeah. A lot of the guys I traded with at the Board of Trade were from the south side.
Yes, because what we would do is they would just get on the Rock Island and ride right into the Union Station, I think it is. Yes. And then just walk up to the trade. Hi, Don Miko. So yeah, we
also hi to Bambi.
Hey, Bambi, how are you? Dindu.
Bambi's also she's the Iowa gal. Close enough to Chicago.
Iowa. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been out to Iowa. A lot of guys would go to school out there at what was it? Loris College in Iowa.
Okay.
Which is obviously a Catholic college, or it was. I don't even know if it's still there.
Have you ever seen the show American Pickers?
Yes.
Yeah, they're right on the border, right? I guess the Quad Cities, but they're just over the border in Iowa.
Okay, yeah, we watched it all the time. It was a great show. I don't know if they're still on.
Yeah, they are. They are still on. And a couple of years ago, I took my daughter. We went there and visited, and nice. Of course, nobody from the show actually works there, but it was kind of cool to see the place.
Hi, Andrea, how are you? Bambi, Palermo, Don Miku, everybody. It's great to see a few friends here.
Fiendu.
Tindu's up. Tindu had a great show today.
Andrea thinks I'm Ralph Mucci. That's hilarious. Andrea, you're obviously newer in Facebook genre than I am.
No, Ralph would be talking about music, and he would be talking about things in New Jersey. And Primo and I are from the Chicago area.
Yeah.
Born and raised. Primo's from the northwest side, basically, and I'm from the south side. You could say I'm from the southwest side, but so we're Chicago raised and born.
So
And
Gerard,
we moved,
let me ask you a question. Are you a White Sox fan?
No.
No. Very good. Very good.
No, I tell you, we had WGN, right? Channel 9.
Yeah.
And that was the only way to watch. You know, the White Sox were on Channel 32, which is UHF. And we didn't have UHF. Hey, Gerard. How you doing, John Wolf? Anyway, so we would get home from school and watch the Cub games, because a lot of times they were on right after school, and they were always on during the daylight. They didn't have lights, and we would take the bus from 111th and Western all the way down, a couple transfer tickets, and it was a day ball game, and tickets were $1 or something. And then we'd go over to Wrigley, we'd sit in the bleachers in left field, and then come home.
Do you remember they had the shower out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I think that was later. I don't remember that being there when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was early stuff, but they took it out, I think, in the 90s, which was very depressing, because that was, if you were in one of those, 90-degree, 200% humidity days, that shower was nice.
I don't recall being there in the 60s.
Okay.
I don't recall being there in the 60s. When it's late 60s, early 70s, when we used to go up there. I don't recall that shower head, but I just don't recall.
Okay. It was. I think it was original to the stadium, to the park. It was.
Okay.
It was definitely. It looked old, for sure.
Yeah, Andrea, I'm originally from Chicago itself, the city. But I got sick, and my wife is from New York. And we decided to move to New York. And I've been north of New York City ever since. I'm up in the Adirondack Mountains. So I've been here about almost 20 years. And I'm in a very, very small town. I'm in a town of probably 1,000, 1,200 people, but that's 4 miles away. I'm in a hamlet that has maybe 24, 30 people. All right, I'll see you, Mike. So it's quite a change, but I really don't miss Chicago that much, to be honest with you, except all my friends.
Yeah. Most of the people I grew up with moved away. The taxes were just stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, when I bought property in Chicago, I bought a beautiful stucco home. It was called a Bell home, I think. It was by a famous architect. and I bought it for $63,000.
Nice.
That home today is, worth 450,000. It's just nuts. But I can't remember the name of the architect. I'll figure it out. But he built a larger home next to it. It's in the historic district archives, and then he built this one, which is a little smaller. It was really cute.
Gotcha. Yeah, during the financial crisis, which was really stupid too, but my home value went from I had an appraisal done just prior to the crisis, and my home was appraised out at 560, and I had it up for sale in 2012, and I couldn't sell it for 200.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And at the same time, from 2008 to 2012, my property taxes went from $3,000 a year to $15,000 a year.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, that's when I said. That's when I said, "Peace out."
Yeah, I heard the average property tax in Chicago on homes now is nearing $20,000 a year.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And you know how crooked they are in Cook County.
Oh yeah, real crooked. That's why they call it. That's why they call it Crook County.
That is indeed.
The sheriff was our friends. His name was Tom Sheehan, or no, John. Let's see, which Sheehan? Mike Sheehan. Mike Sheehan was the sheriff.
Yeah.
And he was the alderman. Nice guy. But we're going back to a time when the actual city did work.
Well, I lived around. Oh, hey, teacher. She says I sound like New Jersey. I've been told I sound like John Madden, which is crazy, but what are you going to do? I don't think I have a Chicago accent, but my kids constantly remind me that I do. So,
yeah. I think I still have mine a little, but a lot of people think I'm from New York too. So
this whole genre that we're in, everybody's Chicago gets lost in the shuffle. So everybody's from New York or the East Coast.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
yeah,
Tommy.
Primo. That's what it looks like, buddy. It looks like the interest is more so in the New York area. It's very interesting what you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chicago gets lost unless there is and I don't know why, unless there is a whole sector of the genre that is Chicago based or New Orleans or whatever other part of the world that this stuff exists in that's being missed because there's so many concentrated on the New York area. Possibly. I don't know.
You're totally right.
The outfit always flew under the radar too. So it's not like you're going to get stories, but they were everywhere. They had their hands in everything. And Murray Humphreys was a guy that none of these people ever mentioned, and he was a big fixer in the city.
Just doesn't sell, I guess. New York. No matter what, I assume, New York is New York, I guess. So real quick, I just want to, I think you're doing great, Gerard. You feel good about doing this now? You're cozy, you're comfortable? That was awesome.
Yeah,
I encouraged you last night to jump off on some of those topics because I know you can go deeper into it with your analysis and opinions and observations of a lot of the things that we speak about are key. They're important. And when you knock it out like this in 45 minutes, it's really helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, thanks. I thought of Mr. Smith because he was a good co-host for this, and he kind of helped me through it. We talked before the live, and I thought about your show last night, and I don't know the specifics. It doesn't matter, but I walk around, and when I go to like Boston or a major city, and I always say to my wife, I said, look at these people. All their heads are down in their phones as they're walking, and I say they don't know what's going on around them. And I mean, you've got a woman that's walking down the street, and I'm a bad guy. It's an easy mark.
Right there. It's right there. It's open. It's open sesame. Well, the woman I had on last night, I could say it on here. Unfortunately, her mom was murdered, stabbed and murdered. 84 years old by somebody that was not supposed to be out. And my friend that was on last night was really stabbed up pretty bad.
Oh boy.
So she can't say much because there's a lot going on in court right now. You've heard me talk about it before, and then when we were on last night, you saw us dipping around it. She has to be careful. I don't. I am, but I don't really have to be because I'm just reporting on, so to speak, a story. She has to be careful because she has a lot going on right now in court. So her mom was murdered in the house. She's still in the house. This person was not supposed to be on the street. So that's the story there. I can tell you that that much.
Did you hear about that guy in Chicago they found in somebody's freezer?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
They pulled him out of an actual nice neighborhood on the north side in Chicago. They pulled him out of a freezer.
Did they arrest anybody?
No, because whoever's house it was or whatever joint it was is vacant. It's been vacant for a while.
Interesting. Now you wonder, the whole topic of this woman that I had on last night is that it was somebody that should not have been out. And so she was speaking on the lack of communication and the way things used to be in the neighborhoods, how everybody knew, okay, such and such is out, such and such is living at that house. Everybody watched out. There's a lack of that right now. She's from the neighborhood I grew up in. She stayed. I moved the town over where many of the neighborhood types have. And we have that where I'm at right now. If you've seen any of my videos, you could tell it's a type of a neighborhood where we all know what's going on. But we all left the neighborhood she's still in. Unfortunately, you don't have that.
Funny thing is, can you hear me?
He just dropped off. But
okay. I've been attending meetings here in Fresno County. They're having meetings and for homeowners if you own property. So they're giving presentations now. They're actually, I don't know what exactly they're trying to do. I thought they were going to try to buy my house, which would be nice, but they're not. But they were given some presentations in these fucking meetings, and their numbers show that 80% of the population of California lives under the poverty level.
Yes.
That's fucked up, man.
Yes, I know what you mean. My friend came out my old Marine Corps friend came out here to visit. It was been 45 years or so.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long, but a long, long time. And I'm going to visit him, and he lives in Oxnard. And he asked me if there was, here's the word he used, was stratification. And I never heard that word before.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
You've got people that can afford those homes out there, and then you've got the absolute poor.
Yeah. And there's, what I think the biggest shocker to me was when I came from Chicago to California was just the amount of homeless people. No matter where you go out here, you've got hundreds and hundreds of people just living in parks and on the street. on the highways. It's fucking ridiculous. But the numbers they're showing is 80% of the population total, everybody included, lives under the poverty level. So 80% of the people in this state make less than 30 grand a year.
Right. And that's abject poverty.
That is, especially out here. Fucking, gas is $5 no matter where you go.
Well, Andre is, we'll talk about it with Andre, but there's certain areas, there's certain states that attract homeless people.
Yeah.
Due to their policies, Andrea. It's not like people are just homeless. They're also drug addicts.
Or fucking just legitimately crazy.
Yeah. They're mentally insane, or they're attracted because of drugs. And these homeless encampments are riddled with drugs.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's a topic for another time and place. The main thing that we had here was the levels of awareness, something that you can do to, something that you can train yourself to do or seek guidance from, so that at least you're aware of your surroundings and be safe.
And I would also recommend that everybody take first aid training, no matter who you are, what you do. It's usually a free class, and they teach you first aid and to save lives. Heimlich maneuvers, how to restart breathing, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And buy some Narcan, because apparently everybody's overdosing.
Yeah. It's terrible. But I'm going to shut it down now. Okay, Primo, we'll talk another time.
Yeah, for sure, Gerard. I just wanted to show some support.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Bambi. I'm sorry about your high taxes. I'm really sorry about going a little bit longer than we wanted to. But everybody, have and make it a great day. And Bill the Butcher, we'll talk later. Tommy, of course, I get a lot of inspiration from everybody on here, but the Tommy Sticks has something special. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I told him to hang on to it, and I get a positive feeling from guys like you, but the two shows is Dindu and Tommy, and other people that are going to be joining in our little group here, which is not a
60 club.
Yeah, not a I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time speaking, but I think you guys understand where it comes from. We like to have a group of friends, then we try to avoid the
drama.
It's more than drama. It's like it's bitterness, and there's no payoff to it. So everybody have and make it a great day. And thank you, Primo. I'll be talking to you. We'll talk about your uncle, okay? Hi, JJ.
For sure. Anytime.
I'll see you. Bye.
Peace.
Peace out.